name is Chris Han. I'm the Director of Sales for Off-Grid Distribution, and I handle all sales operations for the distribution side of our business, as well as our dealer network that's quickly growing through North America for various different products. Cinderella, in particular, our biggest dealer network right now. So I manage that whole program and all dealer relations with that program.
And I'm Zandra Howe. I'm the Cinderella Program Manager for North America. I was onboarded on this team 4 years ago to do technical support, and then just gravitated towards these incineration toilets. Not only are they cool, but they help the environment. So I guide our dealer network, create programs and sales projections with Chris, and make sure that our North American counterparts have the information that they need. Basically, Off-Grid Distribution is a distribution company for many off-grid products, but we're specifically going to be talking about Cinderella Incineration Toilets on this call. Gordon Stewart's the president of our company. He couldn't make it for this meeting today, so we're going to travel through the presentation with you guys.
So Cinderella in particular, as Andra mentioned, we do have various other types of off-grid products that we offer. Cinderella is by far the biggest. It is probably the biggest off-grid solution that we do offer, on top of other types of composting toilets and whatnot. Cinderella, we like to talk about it as the Cadillac of incineration, because it truly is. It's the only fully certified incineration toilet of its kind. Cinderella's been around for over 30 years now in Europe. In North America, it's still fairly fresh. I would say just under 10 years now operating and functional units and really growing that dealer network. But it's gaining a lot of traction quickly.
This is our slide where we're basically just talking about how they compare with other incineration toilets across the globe, specifically in North America. There's a couple other incineration toilets that are available, but they are not certified. Cinderella is going to be our main product. It's about 40% of our business out of thousands of different off-grid products. It's the most robust and certified toilet in all of North America. Chris is the sales director, and I am the program manager for North America Cinderella program. So Cinderella is obviously best in class. It's UL certified, NSF certified. It's the only fully certified toilet in North America. They've been around for over 30 years now in the world, and just over 5 years in North America. The biggest project, which would be similar to yours, would be in Hawaii. They had about 40 toilets there for about 5 years, and that was to get rid of all the cesspools that were there. They obviously had issues with containment of waste materials. So now they have a huge program on all the islands, and we have 2 dealers there now that help reduce all that waste. Obviously, septics can't be really built there. So we want to promote the Cinderella in the Virgin Islands specifically to help bring down some of those costs. So, a $200,000 septic system for a community can be reduced to a couple Cinderella toilets in each home. Right now, we have 3 toilet options in North America, incineration toilet options. So there's the Comfort, which is the electric, the Freedom, which is the gas propane model, and the Travel, which would be mainly for mobile applications like RVs, schoolies, conversion vans, and things like that. I think you guys would be mainly focused on the Freedom or the Comfort models. The Comfort model is the one that has a 240 AC, where you're going to have a lot. It's more like a dryer functioning, where the Freedom is a gas and it's good for 12-volt systems. So depending on the location of where you're going to put that toilet is going to be dependent on which model is going to be right for your application. So a residential place would typically take a Cinderella Comfort model. This one would be probably beneficial for you. I think Jamila was looking at the Freedom model when she first called us. So we wanted to make sure you guys had all the options available depending on the application that it's going to be in. Of course, we will be pairing that with a unisex urinal in some situations, where the urinal is non-incineration, uh, but you would put toilet paper in another place. This is a unisex urinal. It's kind of like a mini toilet that sits right next to your incineration toilet. Because 4 out of 5 visits to the washroom is urine, that's going to bring your incineration costs down quite a bit. But again, being on an island, that might not be the best options for everybody unless you already have a gray water system or some kind of septic field already in place. We have sand filters, there's biofilters, there's obviously gray water systems that are above ground or below ground that we can use for these as well. The installation of these toilets are generally very simple. You would need to put it on an outside wall. You typically want to use the installation kits that come with the toilet. Most of these toilets are lasting in the field for over 20 years now, with obviously maintenance, changing of some parts, because these aren't your normal flush toilet. They're actually a machine. So there's no plumbing, there's no water. You have to make sure it's a machine on the inside, making sure you take care of it. Kind of similar to the one in the background, where it looks like a toilet on the outside, but it's actually a machine on the inside and requires some maintenance. How to use the toilet is very, very simple as well. Once the toilet is sitting there, you open the lid. You would insert a liner that are specially made to be biodegradable and burn up easy without creating a paper-like burn. It has a wax type filter that will hold in urine for a small amount of time, but you don't want to leave that in there. Any kind of moisture or humidity will be kind of bad for the toilet. Obviously, everything's metal. Once you put the bowl liner in, you use the washroom. You would shut the lid. Once the lid is shut, you would press the flush button, and then the hatch will open and the incineration will then start. Another user can go to the toilet directly after that, up to 4 flushes per hour. So if I went to the toilet and then Chris needed to use the washroom 5 minutes after, he would just lift the lid, the incineration process would stop, and then once he uses the washroom and closes it, he presses the flush button, the waste goes into the bottom of the toilet, and incineration resumes. The maintenance is very easy. We have a toilet here in our shop that I've installed incorrectly and try to ruin. Basically, once a week, I would say, you would want to empty the ash container, just like if you were cleaning your normal bathroom. Take the ash container out, empty all the ash into the garbage or into a recycling facility on the lot, like a fertilizer garden. And then you would put water in it, let it sit for about 15 minutes. It literally just washes away. So some people, it seems hard at first, but it actually is totally like kitty litter if you got it wet. So you don't need to scrape it, just let it soak. And then you would clean it out with a brush, reinsert it back into the unit. And then even once a week, I do the same thing. I'll do a steam clean. You can do the steam clean just like in the photo here by adding water to your clean ash container, putting it back into the unit, and just pressing the incineration button. You don't want to use it until the incineration is over, but that will clean your flue and your exhaust system and the catalytic converter. That's what is installed in there to keep fumes and it keeps it certified to be able to go out into the air without extra chemicals.
So in terms of procurement and shipping related topics, like we mentioned before, Cinderella is by far the biggest product that we have and that we offer. So it's extremely important that we carry all products here in North America, and we have full stock of everything Cinderella throughout all warehouses in North America, both Canada and US. For the US side, our main warehouses are located out of Ferndale, Washington, and also Buffalo, New York. So for your case, it would likely be shipping to a freight forwarder. A lot of times we'll ship to Miami, and then utilize your freight forwarder to get it over to another island or whatnot. And like I said, it's extremely important that we do stock everything here. Everything's made and manufactured in Norway, so it's very convenient that we already have everything here ready for our dealers and customers. Whether that's the toilet itself or also spare parts, accessories, anything that you need. It's really no lead time to it. It's just shipping concerns and trying to get that out to you as quick as possible. In terms of like aftermarket support, it's crucial that we do have Cinderella representation everywhere possible. So right now we have a growing dealer network of both dealers that stock, installers, and also we do have OEM accounts that will put these in manufactured RVs, tiny homes, many different types of applications. So it's very important that we try to grow that dealer network across all states and provinces that we can, so that any customer that needs support has support locally, or at least a few hours away that they can reach out to. For the U.S. Virgin Islands, that's going to be extremely important as well. Just how Zandra mentioned, we do have dealers in Hawaii and Alaska, and although Alaska, much different climate, there's a lot of similarities there in terms of procurement, shipping, but also the maintenance and the support of customers. A lot of our dealers in those areas stock a lot of spare parts. They stock a lot of product because it's important to have a lot of that in that area when they purchase to support their customers. Um, that's uh, that's our dealer map there, as you can see the various locations that we have.
For this next slide, we'll just specifically talk about freedom, and then we'll jump into the comfort model, because they are two totally different installations and applications. They work exactly the same. No one is better than the other. One just runs on electric and one runs on propane. So this one would be probably so for everybody to understand how the unit actually works, I kind of break it down a little bit more, where I talk about safety and I talk about how the machine works. So as soon as you turn on the toilet, the machine will beep at you and go through a software boot up and say ready for use. Once that's ready, you're going to open the lid. As soon as you open the lid, the fan turns on, which is kind of a nice touch, because if you're doing number two, you're not going to really stink up the bathroom because it's already getting evacuated out into the exhaust system. So once that starts, it's ready for use. You'll put your bowl liner in. The bowl liner goes into the hatch. Once you do your business, you shut the lid, you press the incineration play button, and then the hatch mechanism opens. Once that opens, it drops the waste into the incineration chamber, and then it starts the incineration within 60 or 30 seconds. What you need is oxygen, you need air, and sub pressure. So installation is always going to be important. There is a catalytic converter that is actually inside the toilet, and this comes with the toilet, and that's what's going to help minimize odors and emissions and makes it that much more realistic. You're not going to see smoke coming out of the chimney stack. You should see nothing at all. There's a thermocouple in them as well to detect the temperature change. It's on a sense cycle. So really it's kind of like a sleep cycle, but we'll get into that later. As we know, how to use is the exact same over every single toilet. You open the lid, you put the liner in, you shut the lid, you press the button, incineration starts. For the Freedom model specifically, this is the kit that you would typically get. This is everything you need to install the toilet. So in one box, you're going to get the toilet, some liners, and a manual. We always ask people to get extra liners because it only comes with 100. And if you're living at home full time, that's about the 100 liners is about how much you're going to use for 2 people. The second box is your accessory kit, and that will come with a wall vent and a chimney cap. And in a third box, to make sure that nothing gets damaged, you're going to have all of your 636 certified pipes. So that's the big difference between the gas and the electric. For gas, as you probably already know, you need special pipes to be up to code and to go with certifications and approvals in your area. It comes with a siphon and a 90-degree elbow that comes on the end with a drain already. So if you're installing it indoors, you're going to want to put that siphon on so no liquids or flue liquids come out of the bottom of that ventilation kit. If you install that outside, you don't need to install the siphon. The electrical specifications on these toilets is really important to understand. So they do have PCB boards in them. They're a pretty sophisticated toilet. They run on a program to be the most safe and certified toilet in North America. Each toilet comes with an ID plate similar to this one. This will tell you all your specifications that you need, what the model is, your serial number will be here, and what the voltage, what amperage, what kind of toilet it is, and how many times you can use it per hour when it was made as well. So the Freedom comes, as you mentioned, is a 12-volt system. You can always get a universal AC to DC power adapter if you have 110. This is what most people use in North America for all of their installations. If you get your power adapter through off-grid distribution, that adapter also comes with the 3-year warranty to go with the Freedom toilet. You can also use portable battery packs, generators, any kind of off-grid application you can possibly imagine. That's why this one is the most used in Hawaii and other islands that are similar. Your ventilation options are quite strict. So considering the comfort, you're allowed to have bends in your ventilation. There are no bends allowed in the Freedom model. The Freedom is an open air system. So it has ventils in the bottom of the toilet, and that is what pulls about 80% of your fresh air comes from there. These things pull about 10 cement trucks of air per incineration, and that is a lot of air. So we want to make sure it's installed correctly with the proper airflow. Having the chimney installed properly is also important. This is one of the issues that we have here in some areas. They'll make the chimney very short or put it out the side of the wall. This is not acceptable. You need chimney effect and proper sub pressure inside that toilet for the best incinerations and longevity of your toilet. All models have a certain specifications for operating temperature and also how high of elevation they can go. I don't think you guys are going to have to worry about that in the Virgin Islands, but we still like to make sure that you're within specification. As you know, especially with propane appliances, there's going to be some air that you're going to need. And if you are up way too high, that air isn't going to be sufficient for proper burns. As I mentioned, the Freedom comes with a ball valve siphon. Comfort does not, so you'll have to buy that separately. The Freedom has vent holes, and that's where all of your air is going to come from. As mentioned, the air intake is super important. We're pulling in so much air into these toilets. We have some clients that give me a photo of their air intake as an open window. That's not acceptable. Closest to the toilet or even underneath the toilet for the Freedom is absolutely best. The Comfort has an air intake that goes directly to the toilet, and that's the biggest difference. The propane connection that come with the Freedom toilet is a left-handed nut. So we do have a lot of DIYers that tend to forget to use 2 wrenches and do it properly. That will break very easily. If you are using propane installers, there shouldn't be a problem with this. They would know, obviously, that a lot of propane appliances have that left-handed thread for safety. If you're on a system that's already in the home, obviously you'll have a propane installer come and do those connections for you. If not, and it's running off of, say, just a regular barbecue propane tank, we want to make sure that the pressure is at half psi. We have people go up to about 3 psi, and we have a lot of issues with that. So we want to keep it as low as possible, obviously staying to the appliance manufacturer's specifications. As mentioned earlier, this is how all the toilets work. It's classic, freedom, comfort, premium. All the toilets work in the same incineration cycle. It's temperature and time controlled. So the incineration process, if we just flushed it one time, that would be about 45 minutes. The longest part of the incineration process is the cool down process. So you might have a half an hour of burn and then 45 minutes to an hour of cooling, depending on your ambient temperature. So specific to the Freedom model, if you're pulling in humid air into the unit to cool it down, it's going to take a little bit longer, and you're going to want to make sure it's dried out before you put it away. A lot of people have questions about the fact that it might reignite. For the comfort model, because it's an element, you don't hear the ignition of the unit, so we don't get that question very often. For the Freedom model, we get that question a lot. It will shut down once it reaches a certain temperature to keep the internal temperature safe inside of the toilet. So it'll stop ignition and it'll bring it down to a safe temperature and then reignite again during the incineration process. So that might happen 3 to 4 times depending on how many deposits were there. So the longest it should last is 3 hours. That's probably the most maximum. If it goes over that, you probably have a ventilation problem. There are a lot of fail safes with these units. Some units you can open it and see flames. You're not going to happen with the Cinderella model. It has light signals that are going to tell you what's wrong with the toilet. The Freedom and Comfort model also come with the screen, so it will actually visibly say temperature sensor error or lid open or things of that nature to make sure that you know as the user what's going on with your toilet. The light signals are the most important because each individual signal gives a different outcome. So whether the lid is open, it'll tell you when you need to empty the ash container, but I consider that like a gas light. Don't wait for the ash container. Don't wait for the toilet to tell you to empty it. Just empty it regularly because overfilling will void warranty and it will cause a big mess inside the toilet. As mentioned, the Freedom and the Comfort model come with an LCD screen. The older models, original models, did not come with that, and the new travel model does not have that either. It's definitely easy to when you have customers or guests, for them to know that the unit's ready for use, or if something's happening with the unit that needs to pay attention to it. Same thing for maintenance. You're going to want to clean the unit. If you clean your toilet once a week, you should clean this once a week. Empty it, clean it, put it away, dry, and then start a steam clean incineration to clean that catalytic converter out. There is a catalyst rinse that's also available. I typically say to do that if you start seeing bad incinerations. You would remove the toilet from the wall, take the ash container outside of it, make sure it's in a wash basin or outside somewhere. You put the funnel in, it'll go directly through the ventry system and then kind of back flush the catalytic converter to get anything that's clogged in the catalytic converter out. Support and warranty is available through our Sustainable Toilets website. So Sustainable Toilets is our main website that we have for specifically Cinderella. So it is a product of Off-Grid Distribution, which is who we work for. Sustainable Toilets is a place so that clients can go there and get toilets or accessories, liners, etc. If they don't have a dealer in place. Because we're so new and this is only a 5-year program here, we still have to build a dealer network, which is why we need to have more meetings with folks like you to get into places where a Cinderella might not be present at this time. So what I'm going to do now is I will jump right into the comfort training, and then I'll also do the urinal right after that. So for comfort, it's exactly the same as the freedom, except for you have a little bit more leeway for installation. So you can put bends in this installation. There's a direct vent system so that the air goes directly into the back of the toilet rather than being pulled from the room. It comes with a NEMA 615 plug, which a lot of folks here aren't quite used to, but we do sell the outlets and the appropriate cover through our site, but these can all be sourced locally. So that's not something you have to get through us. Typically, the electrician or whoever the contractor is going to do that would get a ton of these and put them in where necessary. Obviously, when it comes to the comfort model, we don't want them on battery systems. We don't want them on generators. Solar panels aren't necessarily sufficient. We do have people that have installed these in packages that are off grid. They have real issues with that. Even in Hawaii, where they have rolling outages and they're on an island, the power surges there will end up frying the computer in these sometimes if it's not set up properly. So if it is going to be on some kind of off-grid system, we want to make sure there's safety features in place, like backup fuses and things like that. The ventilation, like I said, is a lot easier. You can go up higher with these too. So with the Freedom, you can go maybe 15 feet. With the Comfort, you can go up to 25 feet now. I've even had installations of 30 feet for the exhaust, no problem. We just tell people, if you're going to do that, let us know. If you're going to change your installation, let us know so we can put it in your file, give you the right information, and also increase cleaning, because the more restrictions you have in your flue, the more buildup you're going to have for the incineration process. Same considerations when it comes to air intake. Make sure it's clean. Understand that these things are pulling a lot of air. Intake is very important. Cleaning is very important, and proper installation. Like I said, we have these running for about 20, almost 30 years in the field now, original models. We can keep these going for a long time by just replacing a couple of different parts. For this one, we'll go back now to the urinal. And the urinal training is also pretty simple. It looks like a little mini Cinderella, but it's non-incineration. So we want to make sure that people understand you don't want to throw anything in there. It is literally just a urinal drain. The drain is protected by this special membrane. You would put a little bit of like vegetable oil in it when you first get it to open it up, and when you install it, and then that is what keeps all of the smells out and coming back up. So you want to clean this with, obviously, we don't want to use bleach or anything like that, but this would be unisex. So you can sit on it, or a man can stand up and pee as well. In the box, you're going to get the urinal. You'll get these membranes. Some people will buy a couple extra membranes, especially on islands. That way, if it breaks or if it gets clogged, at least you can have a new membrane to put in place. That's about the only thing that I've ever seen replaced on these toilets specifically. You'll get a little bend like this as well in your installation kit, and that's only if you want to install it, depending on if you want to install it straight down or as a 90-degree out. The things that don't come with this are the piping outside of the toilet. As I mentioned, if there's no pre-existing plumbing there, we're going to have to come up with some kind of situation that's acceptable for your area when it comes to codes and approvals. Gray water systems are usually quite acceptable, but things like sand filters or French drains might not be acceptable in your area. What did you want to go on next, do you think? I think I'll...
You can just touch on some pricing.
Pricing. So for pricing, yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah, so in terms of pricing of the Cinderella toilets, generally they all are around the same range. Obviously, depending on where you're buying it, it can vary. The comfort is normally a little bit cheaper than the other models, maybe by a couple $100, not a whole lot. But you're really looking into anywhere between 45 to 5,500 for the entire package as a whole. The urinal is obviously is not an incineration toilet, so it is much cheaper. And depending on where you're buying it, it could be anywhere between I'd say $500 to $700 range. Um, Now, the retail pricing on these is, of course, a lot different than what we offer our dealers, installers, and OEM accounts. We have exclusive pricing available for them, and also it's all based on different types of price breaks per quantity. So we have various types of dealers, like I mentioned before, that stock a lot of these. So they get a much different price than what you'd see here online. That's of course something that we'd be able to offer our dealers all over North America and the U.S. Virgin Islands as well. You would definitely be wanting to take advantage of those price breaks and buy as much stock as you can to have it there on the island, and you'll be able to get the best price from that. In terms of accessories parts, they really vary in terms of like what you're looking for, but this can all be found on the website as well. Our dealers and our entire Cinderella network gets discounts on parts and accessories as well.
If Cinderella is going into a business or a rental situation on the island or in any situation, we want to give a little bit more education. So we do have a business and rentals document specifically for those applications. So we do have some clients that have Airbnbs or maybe timeshares, for instance. We want to make sure that we give you all the information that you need so that the next client that comes to use the toilet is not surprised about what they find there. As humans, we're very curious and we tend to like to investigate what's in the toilet. Some of the issues that we have are someone might open the ash container and pull it out to check to see if it needs to be emptied. Every time you do that, you're resetting the internal counter. So you put the ash container back in, and then it'll start back from zero again and eventually maybe overflow the toilet. So making sure users are educated. These are new products and it's hard to wrap your mind around. Like I said, there's nothing that's going to be more convenient than a flush toilet. But at least with the Cinderella, you have, like Chris said, the Cadillac of off-grid toilets where you're having that experience of using a toilet without the extra waste that comes with it. So as you can see here, this is our actual office location. So we have a Cinderella Freedom that we've had here for 4 years now, and then a urinal that's paired with it. And our store is completely off-grid. So we kind of use this as a showroom as well. And because we have so many employees, it is better to have a urinal definitely next to it to break down some of that 80% of your usage. So not only are you going to save propane, you're going to save on liners. Yes, you can pee and you can do both in the washroom, urine or feces in the regular Cinderella, but the urinal is just nice to add for that extra costs. Having guides and education is really important. We have PDFs in here that actually show what can happen to your toilet so that if a customer does need to understand, we can actually show our technicians, all of the people that are working on these toilets, how to prevent things like this Just like your oven, this element needs to be cleaned. Urine is a very volatile liquid, so urine salts will get caught up in here, and this is from overfilling and not cleaning the toilet regularly. So within 6 months without cleaning, the unit can look like this, which is, we do not want that. As for, I have also steam cleaning. We have steam cleaning video, and the video is literally a video of me over at our unit, kind of showing an amateur style so that anyone can, you can see that anyone can do these maintenances. Spare parts is, as Chris said, is extremely important to have. People shouldn't be running out of liners. If you're on an island, we have this issue sometimes in Hawaii, where if a dealer's not on the island, they're paying a super amount of money to get that shipped to them from us. So we really want to make sure our dealers and partners have enough liners on their location to satisfy the toilets that are going to be there. Each box of liners comes with 500 liners. So depending on your use, if you're there full time, that could be a month or that could be 6 months. It just depends on everyone's usage of the toilet. I have provided these documents inside of our PDF file that we'll send out. For each unit, there is a recommended service package. So these are things that you would typically either wear and tear items or things that can fail over time. So, you know, a simple fan, if you keep it clean, it should last you the whole length of the toilet. But if it gets very bogged up with some of the stuff that might come out of the exhaust system, it might break. Just like any case fan, you have to keep it clean. Make sure it's unbalanced. As for the catalytic converter, this should last 4 to 6 years. If you clean it out all the time, it will last even longer. Obviously, stuff like this wears out over time, but it should not be wearing out in 6 months or a year. We've had ones that last 10 years without being changed, as long as people are keeping up with the cleaning and ensuring that it's being used correctly. Thermocouples are available. Heating elements obviously wear out over time. And this control panel, the buttons might wear out, but as I said, if this is within the warranty period, we'll cover that for free. Same thing with the Freedom service pack. There's a little bit more extra. Obviously, the Freedom has a whole burner system rather than just an element. So you'll have a burner fan, you have an internal valve that could be there, but these are the most commonly replaced parts over time. Spark plugs, things like that. Just like any other appliance, you're going to want to keep up maintenance. If you keep the maintenance up, these guys should last quite a while. I always like to talk about backup facilities because the backup facilities are for specifically rental situations or businesses. Obviously, if this is a machine, so if the toilet goes down or it needs maintenance, it's not going to be able to be used during that time. If you have a small backup toilet or a backup facility, at least that in that moment, your business can continue running without it. Most homes, just like a plumbing system, I have to wait for my plumber to get there if my toilet overflows. It's the same thing. We just want to make sure that the customer has access to a technician or at least backup facilities to use the toilet. You guys, I don't need to talk to you guys about this. You guys have tons of professionals, but it is a very big problem where normal consumers will try to install these themselves. It can become difficult when it comes to propane and gas. Safety is the #1 priority here, and we want to make sure our consumers and our installers and our dealers are all operating safely. These units can get up to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so we want to make sure that everyone's safe and installed correctly. One of the things about the electric model is that there's something new called a tandem breaker, where it is apparently 240 or 220, but the poles aren't connected. That will not run this toilet. So if you are trying to run a comfort and you have a tandem breaker, in a mini home or something of that sort, it will not function correctly. We need to follow the exact guidelines within the manual.
Great presentation. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm very intrigued about this. One of the things that caught my attention from your presentation was you said something about moisture and humidity that is bad
That's
regards
correct.
to metal. And on a regular, just on basic things, that says rust resistant here, being that we are located surrounded by water and the sea
Exactly.
water at that, things get rusted very quickly. I mean, and there's moisture just in our own, just in a, every day you buy shoes here. I mean, you buy shoes in the States, the next thing they're falling apart because of the moisture or humidity. I'm not sure what the problem is. I never had that issue till I moved back to the Virgin Islands. But
Yeah.
how would that have an effect
Okay,
on
so
this system?
specifically with like the Freedom model, because it's an open air system, it's pulling in all that humidity. So the way we get around that is by ensuring that you're not leaving incinerated waste inside the toilet. So you're pulling in humidity. We also use dielectric grease on all the connections. So electrical connections, you want to make sure that you're putting that on there. I'm going to pull up um, we do have stuff available that's specifically for that. So there's an insulation kit that you can put inside of the toilet, and as well as a mechanical baffle that you can use as well. I'm going to pull that up so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Um, as it stands for the comfort, I believe the add-ons are something like this. So if you can see that, what we do is we put this inside the toilet and this mechanical baffle to stop any extra humidity air from coming into the toilet when it's not necessary.
Don't think on the
So
screen yet.
in Alaska, we have this for the cold, but in Hawaii, we have this for the humidity. So it works both ways.
Did you have something on the screen? I don't see it.
Okay. I'll
And if you and
share.
if it's
Ah, here we go.
okay,
I'll
great.
do that. So this is basically what that would be. So there'd be an insulation kit on the inside to stop condensation from happening, and also kind of a mechanical baffle that would be put inside the toilet. So that if the toilet's not running, it shuts that completely. Um, the main thing is that it's got to pull in air all the time, as long as you're not leaving waste inside the toilet. So some people will try to make a liner last. Don't do that. Some people will flush the toilet but then stop it from incinerating to save on power, gas. I don't know why people do that here, but it happens. um, you want to let the toilet do its job. Like, you don't want to leave it moisture inside that toilet. Mainly proper installation and cleaning, where you won't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But we want to make sure in Hawaii specifically, we'll put dielectric grease on extra dielectric grease on components on the inside. So anything like the control panel, where it has pins or connections like that, from the factory, they put that on there. But we try to tell our dealers, maybe open it up, make sure everything's sealed, especially on coastal locations. It'll
Okay.
make it last longer.
Great. And it doesn't seem hygienic to leave anything having them remain in the
I
toilet. Just like how
I
you
don't know
wouldn't
why.
do
I
it
don't
with a regular toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why someone would do that, but you can use, so like at our shop, we use the toilet. Um, it stays there for a week, but it's incinerated, so everything's just ash on the inside. So when this picture of the ash here, that's my hand. this that's actually ash that um, is on the in that comes out of the toilet every week. So it's like a teacup of ash. It's not going to be looking like the picture on Cinderella where they kind of show this beautiful gray ash that comes out. No, there's going to be some flakes. There's going to be some extra pieces in there. It shouldn't be black, and there shouldn't be poop left over, I guess, is what you have to see.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And then also, you said about there's ventilation problems. Oh, no, sorry. You didn't say if there. You said if there's a ventilation problem. So my question to that is, have you ever experienced where, 'cause since this is incinerating and it has to have some fire, have you had
Yes.
any issues with fire, any fire issues associated with ventilation issues?
So yes, we did. We haven't per se. We had a cabin where they did not install the intake, and they also did not check their gas lines. They left it incinerating when they left, and there was a gas leak. So that is the one time that I've heard of any fire. But that was obviously not because of the toilet. There was other gas propane appliances as well hooked up to it. So they blocked off the intake. The unit overheated, and other gas appliances were in there overheating as well. But only I still have yet to hear more about it. But as it stands right now, this was last year. The insurance would not cover it because they did not hire anybody to do this stuff.
They did it themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Installed it
That's right.
themselves. So
Installed themselves, yeah.
so if you hire like a plumber, would a plumber or an electrician be the one you
See, that's the interesting thing, right? We think toilet plumber automatically, but really you're going to need an HVAC specialist, a propane installer, an electrician. Those are it. Plumbers aren't always certified in like furnaces. Consider these a little furnace. That's what these guys are. It's a little baby furnace inside of a toilet that looks like a shell with a fiberglass shell. So if a fire was to go on inside the toilet, the shell actually contains it because it's completely fire retardant. Whereas other toilets, you can open the lid. If you open the lid, incineration stops completely. If something goes wrong with the toilet, or if the temperature rises, there's a little button on the side of here. That's an overheat cutoff switch. It can't get above the 550 degrees or 1005 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay. Okay, great. So can you repeat that what you said? You said is an HVAC technician, and who else would need to be
Yeah,
involved?
HVAC technicians are usually pretty solid, well-rounded. They have lots of certifications. A propane installer for propane applications, absolutely. So anyone that a plumber sometimes has that qualification, and then electrician for the electric model, obviously. We have other contractors that come in. So say it's a wood wall or a concrete wall. You're going to want to hire someone that can drill through concrete kind of thing. So most contractors will have access to obviously a propane person, an electrical person, and an HVAC plumber.
Okay, great. And then I see okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
two other things. I have one about power surge. You said if you're off grid, the power surge and having to do with safety, because we have many power surges here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, and it has to do with
excuse me,
safety. Was that,
Nicole. I want to piggyback on your question and
oh,
ask it in a very
okay.
specific manner about that. Because one of the assumed off-grid uses would be using the application of partnering or pairing portable power station as a power source for the Cinderella comfort. And did I hear you say correctly that the best application is mainly a regular, steady AC power source from a grid and not
That
those other types of power sources?
That is correct. So unless the generator, so generators have come a long way in power systems. So we want to just emphasize that you need to make sure that you're getting that so the element itself is 2000 watts. So you're going to want to make sure, and that's going to be going for up to 3 hours. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the right amount of power and also automation for 2 to 3 days, right? So a lot of generators that are just off the truck generators, their power frequency is going to be sporadic, whereas newer, more upgraded generators and battery systems, they have a flat line power source. So you're not going to get that those ups and downs as you would on a regular generator.
So for clarity, I'm just going to ask for clarity. This is a vital point because
Yes,
if this cannot be used with a solar powered portable power station, we don't have reliable power here.
that's
We
right.
have we have low surges and all kinds of things from our grid. So we do not have any source of pure power. However, the solar power generators, the portable stations that are pure sine wave, that have
Yes,
inverters that are the
yes,
correct wattage to
that's right.
support supplying electric, that are actually EPS and UPS enabled, so that where if there's a power loss of suddenly or something, they literally automatically come on within anywhere from 6 to 20 seconds. We're
Exactly.
talking about that's the application that would make the
Yes,
most sense for us here because we do
yes.
not have reliable power.
That's right. And that's exactly what we do in Hawaii. We want to make sure that we're on the pure sine wave. We don't want anything that's like a construction type generator running something, right? We don't Your setups are exactly what we're talking about where you have that backup power. It also has a battery. The Comfort specifically has a backup battery inside of it too. So if the power does go out, it's going to continuously run that fan to bring the temperature down to a safe temperature while the outage is happening. So there are backups as well, but we definitely don't want them on some little tiny solar system that can't withstand the 240 that this unit requires. So yes, we do. That is totally acceptable. We just need to make sure that do-it-yourselfer isn't making one in the woods somewhere. That's not
Right.
acceptable.
I understand, but I was a little alarmed by that.
Yes.
But thank you for qualifying that. So
Yes.
if we're using the appropriate portable power station with the appropriate
That's right.
wattage and electrical, requirements, because even people here use dedicated portable power stations for their water pumps, so that
Exactly.
when the power goes off, we can still pump water in our homes. But those are 2,000 to 2,600
Yeah,
watt
exactly.
pure sine wave inverters. So let me ask two other questions in two areas.
I still
Emission.
wasn't, hi, I
Oh, I'm
wasn't,
sorry, Nicole. Go
um,
ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. So that my question wasn't regarding that, regards the power surge. My question regarding the power surge had to do with the safety. Was the safety issue only for off grid? Like if you're like what Jamila was referring to regards to solar use, or if it's you don't have this so much of an issue with power surges if you're just connected to the main power, company.
So it's pretty similar to what Jamila was saying, where if if you're attaching this to a small, like we have two versions, okay? So there's the propane version. That one would be allowed on any type of system because it's 12 volt, where the Comfort version is a completely on grid type situation where it has 240, it requires 240 VAC.
Hold on,
Um,
hold on. Because I am not understanding on grid, off grid, and I know other people that will be watching this video and 2 HVC and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to understand that. So can you just break it down more in regards to what
sure.
that means when
So so when it comes to the Comfort model, I'll pull up the actual, this way you guys can see kind of exactly what it is. So the Comfort, we don't want solar or off-grid applications. These are for do-it-yourself people. We're not talking about big industries that have huge systems that are specific for off-grid applications, as it were. So like islands like Hawaii and yourself, they're all on the same kind of thing. They have rolling outages as well. They can use the comfort, but they're not going to do it like a cabin person would. A person in a cabin in the middle of the woods with a small solar system should be using the Freedom model, because they're not a business. They're not a big industry that's having pure sine wave applications. They're using totally different systems. The comfort, we say this is a grid tied application. That's for end consumers as well. So if I have a house and it's on a solar system, it's not going to be as robust as the people that are living in situations such as yours. So they're not using pure sine wave. They're not using backup generators, and they're not using proper battery systems. So the comfort can be in these applications so long as you're supplying the correct amount of amperage and AC for that incineration. As for the Freedom is just an easy 12-volt system. So that's why they call it an off-grid system in quotations. It's specifically the best option for off-grid applications. You can even plug it into your household outlet as well. But that one is propane, so it does not need 240-volt AC. Just like a dryer versus a toaster. The dryer is going to be taking a lot more energy than a 110 toaster.
Okay, so when you're talking about off grid, you're talking about, what does that mean, off grid?
So off grid means that you're not tied into a power system
Right. So that's what I
that's
was trying to
basic.
understand. So if I'm tied into the power system, then the power surge issue is not as much as an issue, a safety issue.
So I'm not quite sure I'm understanding
Okay,
what
let,
what's
let, let me interrupt. Nicole, this is what it is. We have unreliable power here. So if you plug this comfort toilet into a plug in your house in St. Croix, because the power from WAPA, the Water and Power Authority in the Virgin Islands, has low surges, it's not reliable current. It could create an issue. And so what she's saying is the type of electrical source should be one of the portable power stations that is properly calibrated with the proper
yes.
amount of wattage that had, because they offer pure sine wave inverter power. They don't offer fluctuating current with high
Right.
and low surges. So the better application than plugging it into your wall in your house, where WAPA power is coming to an outlet, is to invest in a portable solar powered station that has the proper wattage, that's properly calibrated, that will provide the same consistent power for 48 hours or more that that unit requires. If you're using the comfort with the propane, of course, it's propane gas. So that's a totally different thing. It's just like your propane gas stove in your house or your propane gas dryer.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification because I was not clear. My last question was about just, so it seems like when you were talking about the costs, I think one
Yes.
toilet was like, one incinerator was like 5,000. What is the cost savings? Because over time in a home, because like you could go to the store and get like a $200 toilet, um, and what would you say is the overall cost saving? Because that's a hefty. I mean, even though it's a really good technology in regards to waste, what I'm just wondering in regards to like the regular person that's building
Yes.
a home, what would be their incentive or advantage of purchasing this
Yeah.
product?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We definitely get that one a lot, and it's as simple as when you're building a home, or if you have no practical septic system like available in your home, and you're looking at a solution. Why Cinderella is the best is, yes, you're looking at a price tag of, let's say, $5,000, around that range. But why a lot of people go with this solution is because to build a whole septic system and to install a whole septic system on your property or in your house, that can cost 20, 30, $40,000 depending on where you're trying to install it. We have a lot of customers that are dealers service that are in like coastal areas near New England, different types of cottages and cabins around New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and whatnot. They're for them to build a normal working toilet and a whole septic system around that. This would be a fraction of that cost. Now, it's a really good point that you make on in terms of like savings per use, or what I like to think of it as almost savings per flush, because yes, you if you choose to go with a regular working toilet, or maybe it's already installed in that area, you're still paying your whatever water bill you have or and power. So I believe, did you have like a breakdown per flush? Is it like 10 cents? Or,
it was about 14 cents per flush.
Right. Yeah.
For the incineration toilets.
Yeah, and then like I guess relating that to an incineration toilet, depending on the model that you use, if it's electric or propane, but your cost of liners is significantly lower than that. So a box of 500 liners, that's generally what they come in. There's 500 liners in them. That cost, I believe, like retail, it would be like $67 US. So I guess overall, like if you're talking about savings and why you'd be going with Cinderella, is in areas where normal septic is not practical. This is all in a fraction of that cost. You're never going to have to worry about a water bill. You're really just going to have to worry about taking care of your toilet and using liners. That's pretty much it. Of course, your propane tank and electricity for certain whatever application you're using.
Great, thank you.
This is Jamila again. We are so excited. I'm so thrilled to have you guys making this presentation. This is going to uplift so many people here. I have two areas with additional questions. One is about the emissions. So the venting, what we're ventilating. So if in the case of the Comfort, we're ventilating a little differently than the case of the propane use, the Freedom. With the propane first, I'd like to ask, do you hear that airflow when it's pulling the air?
No.
You don't have sound with that.
There's the decibels for the actual air moving is about 63. And that's during operation, 63 decibels. That's going to be your fan running. But you don't necessarily hear like the whooshing of anything happening or see anything come out of the chimney.
So those decibels are that's about 10 to 15 decibels higher than the fan running to cool an average portable power solar power station.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So now with emissions, what is coming out of the stack with the Comfort? What is being released into the air? And is there anything being released into the air from the Freedom?
So for both models, there's a catalytic converter inside of there with platinum inside. So that is what is trapping any kind of contaminants from coming into the air through the flue. As it's to gas, you're going to have flue gases similar to any propane appliance. But you're not going to have a lot of the chemicals that are coming out due to the catalytic converter that's installed in the toilet. So if you do see black smoke coming out of the top, something's not working correctly. There you should see only kind of like the visible heat waves that you would normally see from something that's hot.
Amazing. I just think that it's awesome that Gordon Stewart, who is your president, I hope that we get to meet Gordon sometime in the
Me
near
too.
future. And certainly we want you guys to be involved and here present in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Our coalition partner, Senator Marvin Blyden, who champions affordable housing here, is thrilled and very excited as we are about off-grid solutions that will result in us
Yes.
building less expensive homes so that we actually have inventory of truly affordable homes in the Virgin Islands, and from tiny homes to duplexes, and we desperately need to replace these expensive systems. We don't need to do septic. The other real saving that your technology offers is we have waste management issues. We're on an island. And
Yes.
those of us who have septic tanks, our remedy when the septic tank is full is we call a truck that comes and sucks the stuff out, but God help us where they're taking it.
That's
You know,
exactly it.
so the dual, I mean, there are just so many benefits, but the dual benefit of employing the Cinderella incinerating toilets into our, daily lifestyle in residential homes here is a major solution to waste management.
Yes, yes. I mean, I go to say to a lot of people, I do a lot of seminars at schools, and 1.8 billion people drink water from sources that are contaminated. 3.4 billion people don't have access to a toilet, period. And 873 million people still defecate randomly outdoors. So this isn't just a problem on your island. This is a problem on the mainland too. So New York, they're stopping putting septics in. You can't build a septic in a lot of places there now. So they're moving towards these things. And composting ends up being, the government doesn't want people handling their own waste. And that's fair, because I've seen a lot of garbage go in a lot of places. And it's like, there's a lot of us. We need to do something about this now.
I'm sorry. And my I thank you so much for this. I just think it's part of a movement toward, as you're clearly sharing, where the world needs to go. And so anything that's different, yeah, right, that says, oh, we have to do a little work, well,
Yeah.
we do clean our toilet once a week. We're just going to clean it differently, and we just need to have professionals install it. And then, we just have to take care of it. But I think it's an excellent solution, yeah, as you just mentioned, anywhere in the world, but especially here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I just want to suggest that from my point of view, I have to pay $600 to $900 when I call that septic company to send the truck to suck the stuff out of my septic tank, once every 18 months to 24 months. And so that's a huge cost above and beyond building the septic and putting it under the ground, building the pipes and all of that. So this is clearly a much more affordable and less expensive option, especially with the liners, about 66 bucks a box.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is all it's definitely something that we don't want to push on the wrong people. We want to give you the right information. We want to make sure you're doing it right, because we're definitely passionate about the Cinderella. I didn't think I was going to be working with poops quite as closely as I am right now. But we definitely want to help all of you guys get the information that you need. And feel free to reach out to us. We'll send you, Jamila, all of our documents, and then you can send these to all your constituents.
Great.
And
Yeah.
I was going to say, Nicole, we want to invite Zandra and Chris and certainly Gordon. There will be an official summit at which you would be able to literally bring product, do demonstrations, and so forth. That is going to be hosted by Senator Blyden in October. And the idea is that you, as vendors, would be here, you'd be able to demonstrate things and certainly meet one-on-one with our tradespersons, some of those
Yes.
potential tradespersons who would become trained and be able to support your dealer in the area. So I can't tell you how I'm passionate about this. I probably as much as you guys, because I've lived here 26 years. And as a real estate broker owner, I am just really aware of how expensive and all the problems that normal septic causes here. We are also on one of the most active seismic faults in the world.
Okay.
So the other reason why, you can put all the pipes and septic you want, but
Exactly.
then an earthquake, we have earthquakes daily, and we've started to have them in a higher 5 point to 6 point range recently. So the other option is, because we are in a seismic zone, if your toilet is inside your house and not relying on pipes that are underground or a septic underground, that's another win-win situation in my.
Right. Right. I
Yeah.
never even thought about that. Thank you. I'm going to put that in my notes because I don't think about it, right? We that's why it's important to have these conversations so that we can get, more information about your needs and make sure that we're giving the right information to you.
Yeah, we actually touched on it yesterday, because mainly not as much of what you just mentioned, but just I guess hurricanes and flooding and
Flooding.
whatnot, and how Cinderella can be a solution for that as well. You're not going to be able to just disassemble your regular toilet and rip it out of the ground. This year, if you do see something,
Coming.
a big storm on the way, you're scared. Maybe your location is a high flooding zone. It's very easy to uninstall, unplug, and you could, if you want to, save your system, you could essentially do that there. So that's
Yeah.
another difference from regular septic.
We do have that issue down in the lower states. So we have packages for flooding packages because insurance companies don't want to cover the whole toilet, but they'll sure give you repairs, right? So with under $1,000 US, we've repaired all flooding toilets that were in floods. So it's you're really safe as long as you can get it out.
And just one thought that is so important. All of these things are things that we think about and deal with because we live in an island community and our infrastructure is absolutely fragile in every regard. So the other follow-up question I had was about the urinal. So how do people dispose of the urine? And it kind of reminds you here in the Caribbean, because we have European influences from colonialism in
Yes.
some homes built here, if they've been built long ago enough, you
Yes.
will see a toilet and a bidet.
Right.
And
Yes.
so this combination of the Cinderella and the urinal, it so reminds me, it's reminiscent of a toilet and a bidet.
Well, I mean, they've been around now for 30 years in Europe. These things have grown all over the place, only here for about 5 years. So we're still getting used to it. And I do see the similarities there. So as for the urine, like I said, it really depends on where you're at. So like you said, some people in St. Croix may not have the same regulations or the same energy systems or the same processes as other places. So the urine is, if you don't need to have the urinal, the incineration toilet takes everything. So you don't need it. Mostly it's businesses or rental situations. People with larger users are going to want the urinal. Like at our shop, obviously we have the urinal. The men can just go in and out. We can just go in and out without pressing the incineration button. But other than that, you can do both in the incineration toilet, and up to 4 people per hour. That means a family of 4 can use this toilet regularly without any issues. Um, Obviously, if you're on the 240, each flush is going to cost you, but those costs will have to depend on your own situation and who's using the toilet, how many times, and if it's better than a septic or cheaper than this option. The main thing that I think we all forget about is not power, but water. We're running out of water, fresh water. We're using buckets and buckets of water every single flush. Um, we don't need to do that here. So you're definitely going to be saving on water specifically. Plus, you might use water to clean it a little bit, but you don't even need bleach. You just pour some water in it. You can check out my video of me doing it amateurly. It's easy, and it's new, but like you said, learning something new is the hardest part. But then you clean your toilet all the time and you don't even think about it. Some people do. I don't know. Some people don't. But we want everyone to clean this toilet.
Yeah. I was saying, you were saying once a week. I'm like, I clean it almost every day.
See,
So,
I don't want to step on any toes, right? Like we get a
yeah.
lot of people that it's pretty dirty.
All
But
right.
if you're a normal person, at least once a week, let's clean that toilet.
Mhm. Perfect. Well, this is
Amen to that.
amazing. I mean, I never heard of this, and looking forward to, I mean, part of the affordable housing, campaign that we've been on this journey. I've been learning so much, and thank you so much for taking the time because I've been enlightened today.
I just want to say thank Gordon for sparing you guys in the quality time today. And
I
we do
will.
expect him, let him know we expect him to be here for the summit with you.
I
Yes,
Okay.
will
and
make
that's
sure
Yeah,
actually
Chris
that's
does it.
actually October 23rd and 24th.
Uh,
yeah, we actually put a lot of emphasis on going to trade shows all over North America. And this next year, there's a lot of importance on that. So I definitely, we can let Gordon know, and I think he'd be ready to pack his bags.
yeah,
Yeah, so would you be able to bring your our unit down? That would take extra
we should be
Yeah,
able to. Yeah.
we've
planning.
normally we'll ship any trade shows that we go to. We'll ship at least one to two different models, and then whatever else that we need for a booth and display and stuff. There should be no issue with that.